All right, good. It's recording. Yes. Well, happy 2025 and welcome to a new session of Moon, Myth, and Magic. I'm Joan, and today I'm sharing the microphone with Triana and John, Nigel John Farmer. Nigel, that is so bizarre. I've never called you John. I have a little brother named John. Nigel John Farmer.
Thank you.
And today we're going to talk about the January 13th full moon in Cancer. And I like to think of each moon as sort of having her own special magic that she shares with us. And I find there's different signs or different qualities are more sensitive and triggered. And why I wanted to do these podcasts was you could have a way to work with the challenges and the blessings to know what is the energy that this moon is coming to teach us and how can we capitalize and use that light to help us move forward. And just for starters, before I turn the mic over to Triana, when I think of Cancer, as I was preparing for today's call, something came up and I went 3 C's and I'm going, 3 C's, okay. So when I think of the sign of Cancer, I think of my brother. And the first word that comes up is crab, the symbol for Cancer. And if you've ever been around crabs, they don't go forward, they go sideways. They go this way, and then they go this way. They don't go this way. And so I think of that idea of going side to side and looking at things from a different perspective. I also think of extremely compassionate, very compassionate, and also courageous. Courageous, compassionate, and moving at things in a different way than what we might consider straight ahead. They take their time. They're very heartful. And when I think of them as the most sensitive. So that's just sort of how I think of it. Because my Cancer friends have really let me experience through them what deep feeling looks like. It's not something that's the strongest of my qualities. More of a thinker than a feeler. And so my Cancer friends and the water signs help me explore those deeper emotions. And today, Triana is going to share whatever she's in the mood to share about the qualities of this Cancer full moon. So take it away, Triana.
Hey, everybody. Well, we've got quite the full moon coming up. First of all, Cancer is ruled by the moon, so the moon is in its own sign, which makes it very, very powerful anyway. And the days leading up to this particular full moon are going to be very intense. So there are going to be emotions flying all over the place around us. And emotions are basically the way that we interpret the information that we're perceiving. And the way to kind of deal with that is become an observer rather than reactionary. And that's very difficult. That's more Scorpio's territory than Cancer's. But if we can use the earlier part of this week to practice, I don't like to say the word controlling emotions, but to work with emotions so that we can take appropriate action, which is what this moon is about, is action. We'll be able to take that action from a higher consciousness rather than a lower consciousness of fear or immediate reaction. The full moon is going to be in alignment with Uranus and is going to be conjoin with Mars. And Mars is the Roman god of war, and the Greek god Ares, same thing. And it's very action oriented and can be combative. So, with the moon next to it, that intense emotion could react as combative. But through dealing with those emotions, through understanding the information coming at you, the reaction could be lessened to patience and listening and compassion rather than the reaction of combat. Uranus, which the moon will be aspecting as well, Uranus is the sky god that came down and joined Gaia, the earth, from the sky and created everything on the planet except for humanity. That got created. The Titans were created by Uranus and Gaia, and those were the first gods who then created mankind. And Uranus is innovative, explosive, creative. And again, that will be aspecting the moon. So you can see where that information coming through the moon again creates reactivity and intense emotions. So if you're sensitive, ultra sensitive, which this Cancer moon will be, you may be overwhelmed. So it will be a good idea to practice, just meditate, step back, breathe, and if you have to, distance yourself from reactive people. Just create a bit of distance. You don't have to respond right away. You can just say, give me some time to think about this. And a lot of patience will go a long way with this moon. There will also be a lot of engagement, and that's where the practice of patience comes in. So that's a lot of information to a short question.
Love it.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Well, and this is where this is coming up against what I'm experiencing is for the last years, there's just something about and I'm not sure which aspect of my personality or is in my chart, Triana, that triggers this. But for whatever reason, I am someone who is forced, doesn't sound like the right word. Maybe it's called. I'm called to slow down from solstice to January 6th.
Urged.
And I guarantee you, this is like mush. I literally cannot do any more creativity. This is my lowest energy of the year. It's when I need to be really quiet and absolutely do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So today is like my first day of what I'd consider back to routines, back to habits, back to, all right, let's go, back to being creative. And I must move slowly, softly. And I came with a poem that I thought spoke to this. When you are present in your own life, it extends infinitely in every direction. John Tarrant, when you are present in your own life, it extends infinitely in every direction. And it's, Nigel, we were talking earlier about, when your mind is just going. And then I'm coming out of this my mind's, I'm not going to, there was a lot of thinking that happened for me last year. That happens to everybody. And then I need some quiet. I need a break. I need some room. And the things that you were saying, Triana, I'm writing down. Give yourself space. Check. Meditate. Check. Step back. Check. Breathe. Check. I've not been action oriented. So this for me is a big full moon to embrace. And so I just think it's so awesome that we're doing this because we each have, completely different life experiences, as do you. And so what I love is about hearing about the various aspects of the moon and the astrology and the mythology. I mean, I love this. Titans were the first gods who created mankind. I never remembered even knowing that. And my high school team were the Titans. So that's kind of a cool deal. I'm like, oh, I like that. That feels really good. So now you've talked a little bit about, we've talked about a bit about Cancer and a bit about full moon. And I mean, I just think of potent and powerful. I mean, it's just the time with what all is going on. And I know that we're all in the right place and it's the right time. So
Mhm.
we're opening up. Which which signs to you do you think, Triana, are going to feel this Cancer moon the most? Who do you feel?
Well, absolutely for sure, Cancer will feel it the most and the most profoundly. And the water signs, which will be Scorpio as well, and Pisces. And also, if you have those placements in your chart, not necessarily a sun sign, if you have a Cancer moon, Pisces moon, Scorpio moon, or a strong planet of any of those signs in your chart, you'll feel it.
Yeah, Pisces moon. Hello.
Hello there, Nigel, with your Pisces moon.
I
Mhm.
had seen that they call it the wolf moon, and I feel like howling.
Good idea. Go out and howl at the moon.
Perfect. Perfect. So, okay, so we've got Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, the water signs. So, and if your sun, moon, or rising is in Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. So one thing that I was just called to do, the cards were really specific. I'm working with 3 decks today, and they very clearly gave me directions as to what I'm to do. So first, I like to review, and it's like how I like to start January slow. I like to gather, review, contemplate, gather. And so I'm gathering back to the last full moon, which was making sure embrace the flow of life. So that was 30 days ago, or right around that time, the last full moon. Then we went into the new moon of step up and lead. And then today, let your fears dissolve.
Oh, that's a good one.
So when we let our fears dissolve, it's easier for us to step up and lead because we're embracing the flow of life.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me is the backstory or the rose-colored glasses, how I tend to look at life. That's kind of how I see what's supporting this current full moon of, letting our fears dissolve. So that was that part. So then I have another deck, and that was Yasmin Boland's Moonology deck. So there's another deck I work with, honestly, just on the full moon. I'm not brave enough to do it. I don't feel called to do it for a full reading for each sign. But the deck wanted me to play, and here's the deck here. It's Kyle Gray's Angels and Ancestors. And it's just such a sacred deck to me. And we started off, they wanted me to read to you just little tiny messages. So we're starting, and this is for the month of January, and really how we're beginning a new year. So here's the first one, the Mirror Guardian. Take time to reflect. Oh, well, that's interesting. Good. I had everything written down with a page number. Obviously, I must have switched. Hold on one second. We'll just see if I'm going to do this or not. Mirror Guardian. Take some time to, and Nigel, this is an answer to some of the questions you were doing about with this intensity. What are some of the things that we can do? And
Okay.
these were the 3 cards that I was called to share. Take time to reflect. Take some time to reflect on your strengths and challenges and how far you've come. Recognize your gifts. Again, it's not about doing. First, step 1, recognize. Step 2, choose your path. And that is the Direction Guardian. Connect with your deepest desires, then choose the path that will make your heart and soul sing. And the third is the White Witch. Come with the owl.
Wow.
Now, when you get the card, be the light for a full moon, I think we're on to something, Triana.
Oh, yeah.
My full moon deck. And her message to us, take the higher road and choose the light. Remove yourself from lower energy experiences.
Exactly.
And I'm just seeing how this speaks to, it's like underneath what you just shared. So in order to be the light, we need to choose our path and take time for reflection along the way. And that path is being supported by our ability to go with the flow, to step up and lead, and be courageous. Now we get into Cancer. So let's see. And so these are, this deck here is the Spirit Animal Oracle deck that I always use. Other decks pop in occasionally when they're telling me something to do. Okay. Come on, cards. It's kind of unusual when the whole deck starts jumping. Usually a card jumps. Oh no, the whole thing's going sideways and upside. Like, oh my gosh. Sorry, I'm just following instructions here. It'll take me just a second. So we're going to start with Triana's suggestions to give ourselves, if we're going to be like Titans who created mankind, We better step back, give ourselves some space, meditate, breathe. My thought is smile so we can be the light. Sometimes it's all about the exhale. All righty. So for Cancer, Beaver Spirit, one of my favorites, lay a solid foundation. I love that they're in and out of the water, building dams. I mean, that just, see, we're damming up our emotions. This can be very helpful. And for Scorpio,
Oh, wow.
Bobcat Spirit, life is a mystery.
Hmm.
And then let's see what Pisces. Sweet results await. Bee Spirit. Now, I find it quite interesting that I started this off with 3 C's, and these cards are 3 B's. Knows what's going to happen. I mean, we have a beaver, a bobcat, and a bumblebee. And so sweet results await. Why? Because life is mysterious. Well, what's going to help us work with this mystery is laying a solid foundation. And I think that that's what January is really helping us. This first full moon is helping us do emotionally, coming together, laying a solid foundation. Life is a mystery, sweet results await. Oh, that's interesting. The numbers are 687. So it's like, again, right in a row. There's an orderliness to this. There's a rhythm to this. There's a sequence to this time of year. We're right on time. We're not late. We're exactly who we need to be in this moment, ready for what's next. So that was Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, whether that's your sun sign, or if you have that in your moon or your rising signs. Triana feels that those are going to be the signs that are going to be the most sensitive to this Cancer full moon. And anything you want to say about that, Triana?
Well, the other signs that'll be sensitive to the moon are the cardinal signs.
Oh, yeah.
And Cancer is a cardinal sign. There are 4 of them.
Okay.
And cardinal signs relate to the actual birth chart. And the cardinal points to the birth chart are the ascendant, the midheaven, the descendant, and the nadir. And those are the separation lines of the first house, the 10th house, the 7th house, and the 4th house. So,
Wow.
yeah, those are cardinal signs. The cardinal signs are signs of initiation and
Okay.
or being in charge. So the cardinal signs are Cancer, Capricorn, Aries, and Libra.
Okay.
Well, and that was interesting. Let me find whatever I was saying about those 3 C's was courageous.
Right.
So that now that makes, yeah. So let's see. And thank you for that explanation, because I had friends who were saying, okay, now what are those things that you guys are talking about besides? But Triana's gonna explain everything. I'll tell you, not to worry. So let's see for Cancer.
Oh,
I mean, if there was to be any, I don't know of another sign. When I think of home and home life, the first sign I think of is Cancer. How
Oh,
about
yeah.
you, Triana?
Yeah.
And it's a bear, and the tagline is "Be at home."
Excellent.
Phew.
And the operative word there is home, and to be at home with ourselves.
Yeah. So introspective.
Right.
Well, you think about it, this full moon's triggering all our feelings, and so of the the first water sign, Cancer, and you think who's going to be the most feeling it is them, and that being at home with it's quite a undertaking to be at home with all the transition that's happening around.
Mhm.
It's beautiful. Such a great teacher. And for Capricorn is a
Oh,
gorgeous peacock with a light, big, bright light emanating from her heart. Let it shine. So you think of our leaders, our Capricorns, our Cancer, Capricorn, Aries, and Libra. These cardinal signs, they're initiators, they're leaders. And so, what are they sharing with us today? Being at home wherever you are. And then, it's again, let your light shine. And this bright full moon is shining the light on your path forward. All right, Aries. Otter spirit for Aries. Two Aries, two otters playing. You are never alone. And then Libra, giraffe spirit. See the big picture. Doesn't that just sound like a Libra? See the
yeah.
big picture? That ability to balance things. They have such a perspective as a giraffe, with that way up there. So for the cardinal signs, when we think about initiation and leaders being in charge, when we see the big picture, we know we're never alone. We can shine our light, and that allows us to be at home. Or if we put it in the other order, when we're at home, we can let it shine. And we're reminded we're never alone. And it's important for us to see the big picture. How does that feel to you guys? Does it seem like it's speaking to what you were thinking?
Yeah, it does to me, because my emphasis about this particular full moon with its alignments and with what's coming up to it, which is an enormous amount of energy, is if we're at home in our heart, this is how we handle it, because our heart will balance everything else.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I mean, my perspective is shifting from panic to possibilities with your own introspection and giving yourself the luxury of that and freedom to have that space to be able to do that. I think that my thing is that a lot of people get hooked into mainstream media, and then they don't realize, but they get a heightened sense of anxiety. And that is not a great thing to have, especially right now with what you're saying. In my perspective, is that if people sort of tune out from a lot of that stuff, or are perhaps more discerning about those things, it will allow them to have the freedom and the space to not panic, and therefore see their own possibilities and recognize their own grandeur in and their own sovereignty, and then take it from there.
Yeah, I like that.
Beautiful. Do you guys want me to pull a card on anything else?
Yeah, the lottery.
When pigs fly. Oh, no, this is not, no, it's a rhino. Sorry. And what does she say? Oh, this is great. Overcome any obstacle.
Yeah, yeah. Let it flow.
About that. This is so cool. Even though it's a rhino spirit, formidable. I mean, let's face it. But then you get overcome any obstacle. Nothing can do that like water.
Yeah.
That Cancer full moon. I
I
mean,
have to tell you something though, that's important, but I won't name him, but I think we'll all know who I'm speaking about. This interviewer from Germany said to the richest man currently in the world, "What does it feel like to be the richest man in the world?" And he said, "Well, it's all a matter of perspective." He said, "If I'm on a desert island surrounded by water," he said, "I'm not really interested in how much money I have. I want a can of soup." So it's all about perspective as well.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I thought it was funny.
That's great. Well, the story then is when thinking about back to, I mean, trying to summarize a lot of what we've shared today. It's a time, a lot of changes. We're learning how to work with a lot of different emotions. It's intense, it's action oriented. And it's the time when Titans were the first gods who created mankind. We kind of get there's a sense of urgency here.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like the big picture. And so, what's the guidance with all that energy? Step back, breathe, give yourself some room to meditate. And know you can overcome any obstacle. Your focus, see the big picture. And this particular card has two otters, not one, and it says, "You are never alone." So when I think of Cancer, I think of emotions, I think of relationship, partnership. We can reach out. So we need to be at home with ourselves first, so we can be that loving space for others. First, be loving with ourselves, then we can be loving with others. And it's that time to shine. I mean, this peacock spirit is card one, number one, the month of January. Let that shine, and that light is from in the heart. So you're sharing your light with the world, engaging in that partnership.
Mm.
You're feeling more and more at home in your heart, knowing that no matter where you are, it's safe for you to share your heart. And how does that happen? Well, Beaver Spirit is guiding us to lay that solid foundation. With a solid foundation, it really is easier to share your heart. If I'm faking it, if I haven't prepared and I'm just winging it. However, if I've laid a solid foundation and I'm prepared, it's effortless for me to share my heart. But if I am not prepared, I will withhold because I'm unsure. So, and only you know the preparation you require to share your heart with yourself and others. Why? Because life is friggin' mysterious. It's serious. Let's be serious, baby. It's mysterious. And the best part, Bee Spirit reminds us Sweet results await. Now, I've used these cards on all of these podcast calls, and this bee spirit is a regular. That sweet results await. There's a consistency. And we're just reminded from the energy of the moon that she's given us this last month is to embrace the flow of life. Step up and lead.
Mm.
And let your fears dissolve. That's the beauty of this Cancer moon. We're letting our fears dissolve. We're opening up our communication. We're being mindful of ourselves and others. We're deepening our compassion. We're going to feel the feelings because it's a very intense time. And I just want to say thank you for intense times. Thank you for spending quality time with us today. We really appreciate it. And hopefully we've shared something that you're finding useful and helpful. You can, below the video, you'll find information to Triana's new website and her astrology readings, and Nigel's website and newsletter information and info about, wait a minute, I always want to make cosmic, is it spiritual snacks and cosmic chats?
Correct.
And it takes you information about that, and you can listen to that on iTunes. And he has things in various places. And my information is down there below. So this takes care of the full moon in Cancer. And then coming up, January 29, we will post again. And that podcast will be the Aquarius new moon. Anything either of you would like to share to wrap things up?
Yes. I want to let everybody know that last month was my birthday, and Nigel very generously gave me the gift of my website for my birthday. So he's the one that created that beautiful website. And Nigel, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
So special. And you know, it was so interesting because it was after one of our podcasts, we were talking about horses, how the horse came to life and through the waves, and Triana was doing this, and then horses came back. I was just, wow.
That was
And
wild.
then you sent me a text saying, are you familiar with this Celtic symbol? And I had never seen it before.
Wow.
And it was that symbol, 3 horses, the 3 of us, and Triana and horses and I go back a long way. And then Nigel had a psychic moment, was asking me about one of my horses' names from when I was 12, who I'd not thought about in all that time. Hence, Triana then sends me this text with these 3 Celt horses. Next thing we know, Epona Astrology is born, and that imagery inspired Nigel to create the magical. And if you haven't already seen it, just go right down here and it'll take you right to her website, and you can see the exquisite artwork and the beauty on Triana's site. So thank you so much, Nigel. But I mean, it's just these multi-layers of relationships, and the 3 of us following our hearts so fully. I mean, who knew? It was like, wow, magic, magic.
Absolutely. I want to share something with you both and anybody that's watching. For me, there are certain people that have said things that become an evergreen statement throughout history. And some of those statements come at what's perhaps the worst time that a country or a society is going through. And in the Second World War, Winston Churchill stood up in the British House of Commons and said, the pessimists see difficulty in every opportunity. The optimists see opportunity in every difficulty.
Mm.
And that reframing, I feel for me, is a lot of what we've expressed today. And that I wanted to say to people, remember that don't let anybody else dictate your song, your story, your narrative. You know, it's your own. And I think that that's where you, Joan, when you were pulling a number of those cards, I said to myself, gosh, that is so empowering to be able to see those cards come out at a time when we have to have this reclaiming of our focus, but at the same time have a power of collective intention. Because when individuals, how can I put it, when individuals come together with a shared vision, in fact, what we're doing now, and it's a vision of hope, unity, progress, then extraordinary things can happen and change. And if ever there was a set of energy, I understand, Triana, and you may know this as well, Joan, that also in this month we got all these planets aligning as well. So you say to yourself, if ever there was a time in human history where the energy is so powerful that people have to be very mindful of the use of their power, individually and collectively. That's what I just wanted to say.
You know, and that following our hearts. And I think that that is one of the things that anyone who ever watches these videos can absolutely trust, is that the only thing that will ever be shared is for the highest good of all concerned,
Yeah.
filled with love, connection, compassion. And it's a yes, we can. Don't know how, don't know how, but
Lost
it's,
the
you know,
instruction manual.
right. It's kind of like that group hug.
Yeah.
That this is a place where we're going to talk about whatever's going to come up. I mean, Triana's going to tell you what's going on, the stars and the heavens, the individual signs, the mythology, the background, what some guidance and tips for what will work well to help you navigate that. I mean, she is just awesome at it, as you can tell by her stories and her ability to tie all of that together. And my thought is, I come in as supportive energy. I see myself as the wind beneath your wings. I see myself coming in and looking to what has Triana shared, and do I have something, or what is of me, of spirit, that can nurture and nourish and support us moving through these different phases. So we have guidance by the challenge and the blessing, because what's key is growth. We're here to grow and to understand and learn. And I think having a lovely group of heartful, smart minds with an expansive sense of play,
Oh, yeah.
wanting to, it's like, yes, I'm so for that. And so really that's what, that's how this podcast came up. It's just conversations. I mean, to be honest, the fact that I just get to talk to Triana, like, but it's so fun because it's like, you feed off of the knowledge. And there might be something here that I've said today that's going to support Triana in something she's doing. What she shared is supporting me. I mean, I got my Triana notes, I've got it written down. And Nigel the same. it's like, oh, that's something to think about, something to consider. So I think of it as like we're a melting pot of times we've spent all around the world, wherever that happens to be.
Mhm.
And then we're coming together in this particular moment for you. We're here for you. Yay. Well, we did it. This takes care of the podcast Moon, Myth, and Mythology. No, Joan, you don't even remember the name of the podcast. Moon, Myth, and Magic. For the January edition of the Cancer full moon, January 13. We'll be back January 29 for the new moon in Aquarius. All righty. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.